mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about episode 10, the season finale of the Showtime limited series Dexter New Blood, entitled Sins of the Father. Like I said in the description, if you read it, if you've ever wound up a towel like they show in the movies to like if you're gonna wind it up so you could slap somebody with it, that's how my stomach was feeling throughout this entire episode. Like they just kept ratcheting up the tension and ratcheting it up, and it was so nerve-wracking hearing Dexter have to hear about everything that he's done so far and having everything come to light and have Angela just lay it all out for him. And it's one of those situations where we've seen it. You know, it's been, if we want to be technical, this is the 9th season of Dexter that we've seen. And we've seen Dexter in these situations where it's like, how's he going to get out of this? How's he going to get out of this? How's he going to get out of this? And he usually lies his way out pretty well. He does what he has to do to escape. But this was like, this is the one. It was like, there's no way. Like, how does he escape this? And he doesn't. But man, what a great job and what a great ending. I feel like it's such a fitting ending for Dexter because, like, you know, they've set up a lot of what happened in this episode throughout the season. I'm gonna get into that, but I was thoroughly satisfied with this ending for Dexter. Thoroughly satisfied with this season. I felt like the back half of the season, the later maybe like 5 or 6 episodes, really helped to make the first 4 or 5 better in retrospect. I said on a podcast yesterday that I feel like this season is going to be a good binge for someone because on an individual episode by episode basis, you kind of you might have moments where you're like, this doesn't make sense. I don't like that. You know, I was personally feeling like Dexter was reckless. I'm like, this doesn't feel like the kind of mistakes that Dexter would make. But you think too about, the 10 years off, the guy's going to be rusty, all of those things that it all came back around. Every point where he was sloppy resulted in it was a factor in him being caught. And that's why I'm so satisfied with this season, because if he was sloppy and the show didn't really address it, there are no consequences for it. For me, that reflects a sloppiness on the writers, because it's like, okay, you should know that Dexter wouldn't do this. You wrote something that's out of this guy's character and it was just allowed to be. Whereas now I look at it like he had the 10 years off and now he's making these mistakes when he's not trying to get back into it, but he's inadvertently gotten back into it. And he's trying to, cover his tracks and do all the stuff that he used to do 10 years ago. And he makes some mistakes. And those mistakes come back to bite him. And that shows me that what looked kind of silly in the moment was a plan by the writers to showcase how he's going to end up ultimately getting caught for everything that he does. So, looking back on this season as a whole, I think this was a really great season. Like it's, Clyde Phillips did the first 4 seasons, the showrunner for the first 4 seasons of the original series. And he did this one. And you can tell it's so similar to the first 4 seasons in both quality and structure. And it works. Like, this was something that I think this show needed. The fans of this show needed something satisfying that felt like a fitting end for Dexter. And I think we got it. Well, I don't think we got it. I know we got it. I can't imagine anyone watching this and going, "Oh, I just rather just left it. It's the way season 8 ended." Like, no, I don't think anyone's gonna feel that way. So, great finale, great season. I love this episode. It was so intense. So let's go over a few of the things that happened that ultimately resulted in Dexter being, we know how it ended. The first thing, Angela finds Matt's titanium screw in the rubble at Dexter's house. Combine this with the screws that were delivered to her by presumably Kurt, with the handwritten note that Jim Lindsay killed Matt Caldwell. And now she's got even more reason, because we know already she was already looking into him. But now she's got even more reason to go, okay, we can at least now start with arresting him for Matt's murder. And then she correctly lays out, when she's talking to him, the circumstances surrounding it, like about how they met up in the woods, and then the deer being killed, and all that kind of, like, she laid out exactly what happened. And then even to the point of, like, once Harrison arrived, how he had to change up what he was doing and move the body, everything. She had it all. But what I found interesting in this portion of the interrogation, she stopped short of what I thought was her her ace was the ketamine and the needle marks, which we found out are called wheel marks. I watched with the captions on. That is spelled WEAL, not wheel like a tire. WHEEL. So the part that really I when I'm watching something, I post it on Facebook, like you know how you can do the activities or whatever, and then we put watching so on. So I put watching Dexter New Blood. I do that for almost everything that I watch, so that my Facebook friends know what I'm watching. I don't think they give a shit, but like you know, they can look at it and be like, okay, well at least I know he's gonna be hopping. He might be hopping on the video and talking about this episode in a few hours, whatever, right? But I do that so everybody knows what I'm watching, just because this is what I do, right? Because I'm up here doing this shit. So at this point, when she thought to call Batista, I wrote shit like like 6 times in both my notes and on the Facebook post, because I was like, oh, it's over now. Like she's gonna tell Batista that she has Dexter. Like, oh my goodness, that was when I got really nervous. I'm like, oh man, this is just out of hand. And then Batista takes it even a step farther, and saying that he just says the captain or whatever, but we know that's LaGuerta, which actually later he did pull out her file. But I had LaGuerta in my notes before he even pulled out the file. I was actually surprised I remembered her name. But he says that LaGuerta thought that Dexter was the Bay Harbor butcher, and that was all Angela needed to hear. She sends him a picture of her and Dexter that was taken a month prior, and Batista finds out that Dexter is still alive and says he's going to be there in the morning. And I'm going to skip ahead real fast. If I have one complaint about this show and about this episode, it's the fact that we didn't get to see Dexter and Batista in a scene together. Because even though I was like, oh my God, this is the end for Dexter, I was really looking forward to seeing Batista and him face to face. And Batista realizing that his friend is alive, but also that his friend is the Bay Harbor Butcher, and that they've got him for all this stuff, and that he's going down. Like all of that, I would have loved to have seen that on screen. And I'm kind of curious why they didn't do it. Like I feel like they could have written that in somehow. But that's my one complaint. My sole complaint was that we didn't get Batista and Dexter together, especially after Angela laid everything out for him like that. But that's when I started to get really nervous. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is just completely out of hand. Whew. So then she meets with him again, and then she lays out the ketamine, the wheel marks, the connecting to the Bay Harbor Butcher, and basically says, you know, I don't know if I got enough to stick you with the Matt Caldwell murder. We'll see. You're gonna be arraigned for that tomorrow. But after that, we're gonna extradite you to Florida, and you're gonna stand. Boy, I was so scared. You're gonna stand trial for being the Bay Harbor Butcher, and Florida has the death penalty. It's a wrap for you, my guy. And that was it. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is just completely. I'm like, she has everything. She has everything. I said maybe 3-4 videos back, I'm shouting out Angela's police work, and I feel like some assholes in the comments like, she's such a good cop. Like, okay, well, like, how can you like? Okay, I think it's like, how did she not find the girls or something like that? Okay, well, they were in Kurt's underground shrine, but Angela's police work was phenomenal in this season. So Dex, I think, I don't even really know what his strategy was here. Maybe it was just solely to give himself a chance to escape, which I think is what it was. So that's what he ended up doing. He sends Angela to Kurt's little shrine that he has for all the missing women, the board full of like 30, 40, 50 women that have gone missing over 25 years. He sends her to Kurt's little shrine place, which we all knew beforehand. Once she got there, she was also going to find Molly, who she had been looking for throughout the episode as well. And then Dex has to, he decides he wants to escape. He asks Logan for water. Logan comes in and he chokes him, and we can hear Dexter's internal monologue, like, just hand me the keys, bro. Like, I don't want this to escalate. Logan reaches for the gun, and Dexter snaps his neck. And I think that was the key. There is no I think. That was definitely the key. So at the end, Harrison ends up shooting Dexter, and there's a couple things I want to talk about with this final sequence here. They've been setting this up all season. Deb's been taunting him over how much he likes to kill. Like, she's constantly been on you sick fuck and all this kind of stuff. Like, you're bad for Harrison. You just never trying to paint Dexter as like a good father who needs to be around. She was always opposed to him teaching Harrison the code and all this kind of stuff. This whole season, Deb's been on him about that. Also, he killed people who didn't violate the code. He even did that on the main series, but he did it this season. I guess retroactively Matt violated the code, but did he? I can't recall. Did he find out about the boat thing before or after he killed? I think it was before he killed him, actually. But either way, Matt was not killed in typical Dexter fashion, where he finds out all the evidence and he sets up. It was a crime of passion in that moment because of the deer situation. And then the drug dealer as well was not that was revenge. That wasn't violating the code. I mean, that wasn't that guy. What was his name, Jacob or whatever. That wasn't him violating the code. And then in this episode, Harrison kind of like laid it on even thicker, because he said something like, and they've been doing this with ever since he even told Harrison about the code, which I think was last episode or 2 episodes ago. Harrison was always hung up on how when Dexter brought these people to justice, this was also saving future potential victims. So Harrison was always very hung up. The aspect that was important to him, I think, was the fact that he was saving people, saving future victims, and not just like taking this person off the board. And Harrison says that in this episode about like all the people that they'll save, like when they go to LA, like, yeah, we'll go to LA. It'll be way more people there that's out here commit crimes. We can handle our dark passengers. We'll be good. And then Harrison's like, right, and we'll save a bunch of people, right? And Dexter hesitates and goes, yeah. And like that, to me, I wrote that down in my notes as a pivotal moment because of the way Dexter hesitates before he says yes. That let me know Dexter's not thinking about the people that will be saved by him taking these people off the board. He's only thinking about taking the people off the board. And Harrison's the one who's thinking about, who's looking for the good in this. Whereas for Dexter, it's purely self-serving. And I think that's where the show, which they built that concept up throughout the whole season. I think that's when they really hammered that nail, was when Dexter, it was a very subtle scene, but that pause by Dexter after Harrison asked about saving innocent people, that's where they hammered that nail in. I thought that was really, really well done. Let's see. And then, like I said, the Logan thing was the final straw. Logan was a good guy. They've shown Logan as a good guy the whole season. The whole with him balancing being a coach and being the cop. They made him really friendly. The scene where he was him and Dexter went out to eat and he asked him for advice on Molly, or I think, and then Dexter asked for advice on Angela, and Logan being good to his kid. Logan has been presented as a good guy, as a good cop, and as a good person this entire time. And for Harrison, that was, again, a complete code violation. Like, you just told me we have a set of rules for what we got to do. And he's just like, this is the only way I can get out. Like, and then again, that shows for Harrison that Dexter's been self-serving this entire time. And the other thing that I want to talk about with this scene is how Jack Alcott, the guy who plays Harrison, fucking crushed this scene. Like, really laying out the whole concept of this all being for Dexter. And he says, would these people, he ran off a list of people who were important to him, all his loved ones, Rita, Deb, all these people who have died. He said, would they still be alive if it weren't for you? And he screams up like, open your eyes and see what you've done. And I think that's where Dexter comes to the realization, or at least at the very least accepts the fact that for him, it's always been purely for self, and that so many people have lost their lives because of him doing what he's painting it as like a service, but it's really just for himself. And I think that's when he realizes it is in that moment. He has another great line where he says something like, you didn't abandon me once, you abandoned me every day that you stayed away for 10 years. I thought that was a great line too. But they did a great job of throughout the season really building up to this, so that everything in this speech that Harrison gives, this back and forth between him and Dexter, everything hits. And it all hits because they set it up throughout the entire season. And that's the kind of writing that I was seeing in the beginning of Dexter. That's the kind of writing that I was hoping to see in this series. And that's what we got. And I think they crushed it. And I'm really glad that a character that for me holds personal significance, because, when I I watched TV as a kid, but like cartoons and shit like that. But I've always been into movies ever since I was a kid. And then I fell out of watching TV because I'm just like network TV usually doesn't appeal to me. So I'm like, like people say, did you see so-and-so? I'll be like, I don't watch TV. Like, why would I watch TV? It's like all garbage. But then, once HBO kind of like ushered in the golden age of television, this was a little bit prior to when my son was born. And when my son was born, I was a stay-at-home dad for the first 2 years. And the first 2 shows that I watched when I had, my son might start watching his cartoons, or he was a baby, he'd be asleep all the time. I started watching these cable shows that I've been hearing so much about. And the first 2 that I watched were The Shield on FX and Dexter. And so Dexter holds a particular, important place in my heart, because that was one of the first shows that I watched when I started getting into television for real, like really into it. And yet to have it end the way it ended with the original series was so unsatisfying for a character that I was so that was so endearing to me. And then now to come to full circle with this this limited series, and to actually give an ending that's satisfying for such a beloved character, I'm really glad to see it. So I'm going to close out with a couple of thoughts. And that'll be it for Dexter New Blood. Hopefully I can't say we're going to get more, but the show's been doing very well. So, I could see Showtime maybe trying to make another series with Jack Alcott, and maybe you can bring in Michael C. Hall as his, as Harrison's Harry. I don't know, but it kind of seems like Harrison's not really into killing people, or it's really just for him, it's about saving people. But I don't know. We'll see. But the show's been doing well. I can see Showtime trying to do something. So, and also like Dexter kind of like coaching Harrison through finishing him off too. Like, take the safety off, aim right here. You did good. All that kind of stuff. Like it was his chance to be a father, like to Harrison, in the sense of like, I'm going to teach him what I know best, which is killing motherfuckers. So a couple of thoughts to wrap this one up. Angela asked Dexter at his cabin, the burned down cabin, if there's anyone who might have it out for him. And Dexter's like, I don't know. And then Harrison comes up with the ultimate save and brings up the 2 wrestlers who attacked him by the truck stop. And Dexter makes this comment too, but that shows how Harrison has picked up Dexter's great ability to lie, in taking truth and using it to tell a lie. Like, we know that they both being Harrison and Dexter, who burned that cabin down. But they have to, cover it up because, for all the reasons. We know all the reasons. They had to cover it up. And Harrison knew that if he incriminated those wrestlers, that would take the eyes off of them. And he used something that actually happened to put something on them that they didn't do. And Dexter said something like, he really is my son, or something like that. But I thought that was great to see Dexter kind of utilize truth to lie in the way that Dexter has done throughout the series to escape capture. I thought that was really cool. I already mentioned the one thing was my complaint about not being able to see Batista and Dexter together. And then lastly, in the scene where Angela's arresting Dexter, he has his hands clasped behind his head, and he looks at a set of knives, and one of his hands moves ever so slightly, and then Logan comes in, he puts it back. And I like to entertain kind of like mental fan fiction. What if Logan hadn't come in? Would he have actually killed Angela? Because I feel like he truly had feelings for her. Like, it wasn't like this whole fake life, like that he just had to live while he was trying to hide who he was. I do believe he truly loved Angela, but like, was he that desperate to get out of that situation where if Logan hadn't come in, he'd have made a move for that knife and try to take Angela out? We'll never know, but something worth discussing. So this is it. This is it for Dexter New Blood. This is it for this video series. Let me know what you thought in the comments of the show. Let me know how you think it affects Dexter's legacy. And until next time, peace.